Welcome to your magic moon message. This is the peace dealer. Moon in Taurus, sun in Cancer. I just got a lineup right now. Is that shit off? Be honest, go in. Oh, this looks like, oh God. I like it though. I'm not even tripping. Just let me know. The sun is hidden, so I can't really see. But if that shit is off, have mercy on me. Let me know. If not, if it look clean, let me know. All right, the moon in Taurus, sun in Cancer. We've kicked off the summer season. So now all the plot points of this year that was supposed to kick off and be established have kicked off, and they're established. If 2005 is an epic cinematic production that follows off 2024, which was one of the weirdest years we ever had, where almost everything that wasn't on your bingo book got checked off, well then 2025, continuing on the 2020 apocalypse end of the world arc, is kicking off this new world order arc. So we're done with the previous seasons. This is taking on a new flavor, revisiting what we have experienced up to this point, okay? And like I just said, if this is some extra dimensional cinematic production with which we're all playing our roles out here as extras, main characters, canon characters, side characters, anti-heroes, villains, supervillains, whoever the fuck you decided in Aries that you are, well, we are at the point of this movie where the beginning of the movie is done. And let's talk about that. Aries, Taurus, Gemini, spring season, 0 to 90 degrees of the sun's path through the ecliptic as it intersects the Earth's celestial equator. So the reason why we're having this equinox today is because that intersection creates the Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn. That's what gives us the seasons. And that's why we don't tell you retarded BS like your sign has changed, because astrology, aka Western, I don't know if people are still telling you Western is worse than sidereal. We base this shit off the seasons. So even though in the constellations, the sun is in the constellation of Gemini, the seasons do not change, baby. We celebrate the solstice the same time every year. And this is the consistent basis through which we base our analysis and calculations. Our calculations and analysis. Just making sure we're clear. No, your zodiac sign didn't fucking change. That is rubbish. That is hogwash. Happy fucking birthday, Cancer. So this is the part of the movie where the beginning of the movie has activated. Whenever you watch a movie that runs a traditional format, because you have movies that deviate, some movies will start at the end and then do a flashback into the beginning once we set into the next stage or scene or trying to think of the word, the next whatever of the show. I'll remember the word later. But let's say it's a traditional runtime, right? Or a traditional pattern. When you start a movie or when you read the book, what happens? They introduce the character. They introduce the relevant characters attached to the main protagonist. They introduce the values of each of these characters and begin to hint around how these values may clash or what conflicts they may bring. And then boom, we come into the beginning of the conflict that actually unfolds, which leads the protagonist to go on the adventure or do what the movie is doing, right? Harold and Kumar. We established who they were, where they come from, their background. We understand that they like to get high and eat fast food. But an issue arrived. They needed to get to White Castle, and that required a long trip. So they finally got into their car, and then boom, they're on the way to White Castle. That is the end of the first part, the activation part. Okay, you could apply that to that's a fire-ass movie. Who's seen that movie? The movie is fire as fuck. Anyway, yes. So now we are at the integration from Cancer, Leo, and Virgo. Okay? This is called the summer season. Shit literally hits up. If you want to take this politically, if you want to take this personally, you can apply it into how it applies in your life from March 20 to June 20. We are done. Now we're going to be taking those seeds we planted in the ground and we're going to see them break through the ground so that by October, when we step into the fall equinox, we will be harvesting and reaping everything we sowed. So this is where, of course, the conflict begins to develop. Through Cancer, we get a deepening of the motivations of the character. We get a sense of how the character begins to feel about who they are and how through that pressure, they have to break through who they thought they were into what they're gonna become at the end of the movie, okay? This is where shit starts to get good, pretty much. And given that it's already starting out with a bang, this is going to prepare us for the new moon in Cancer that we're going to have after the Sun-Jupiter conjunction in Cancer. So the moon is in Taurus. When the moon goes into Gemini, the sun is going to activate its conjunction with Jupiter. And then when the moon goes into Cancer, we're going to activate that new moon cycle and really begin this new cycle of expansion, which is going to bring in new liquidity. And this is also going to bring in a new wave that square Saturn in Aries of the New World Order is going to trigger brand new reform regimes, for better, for worse. Everything that's going to begin to test our own individual rights over the next 2 years. What is it? And this is in contrast to 2020, where we were given collective mandates, Saturn in Aquarius and Capricorn and Pisces, representing collective universal authority, where we were told to do things that affected everyone. It was a mandate that affected collective people. Now the question is, what are you individually allowed to do? And what are you not individually allowed to do? I'm not going to say like martial law or anything like that, but that's going to be the name of the game over the next 7 years, starting over the next 2.5 years, where we're going to be fighting as individuals with the help of or against our governments around what our individual rights are and the authority we have as individuals relative to whether this power gets stripped or added to us. So I don't want to set it up as a conspiracy where the government's going to try and take your power versus a 30-year cycle where individuals in their states or nation states come together or through individual actions, take actions to either raise the amount of power an individual has, whether that's through protesting what their government does or gaining aid from their government because they pass bills and reforms that actually give more power to the individual. I think we'll see examples of both relative to where it's at and what's happening. But that being said, the moon in Taurus making this Aquarius signature, as when the moon goes into Gemini, we'll be releasing the Pisces signature, is rewards. You are officially coming into the rewards, which manifest and convert this awakening and activation of enlightened mindsets, new ideas, magic abilities, word magic abilities, let's talk about it, and you're converting that into the manifestation, the complete manifestation of your psychic power. The application of this firmware update that happens yearly to provide you over the next year with greater clarity into the cognition and the power of your psychic power, okay? Because Uranus is going to go into Gemini this season, trine Pluto in Aquarius, you're going to feel more of the supernatural and unconventional magic quality in nature of how what has been awakening in your body is now making you more more genius than ever. Name one genius that ain't crazy. And this is beautiful because now with the moon in Taurus, the shift that you have evolved since last year with Jupiter and Gemini now in Cancer, you are coming into a grounded, physiological, solid understanding through your 5 senses of how moving forward, you're going to integrate this awareness much more powerfully. Now I say psychic power, but you can look at Cancer as a metahuman capability that enables one's consciousness to tap into, through their imagination, metaphysical vibrations, subtle vibes, subtle energy, okay? Powerful intuition, which is something both males and females have, but processed differently relative to their energetic makeup or their psychological makeup. And yeah, because the moon is also going to cross over Uranus at the end of Taurus, this is going to really revisit every single lunar conjunction that was made over 28 days since 2018. I'm going to say that again. Every 28 days from 2018, we were innovating the physiological awakening of extra dimensional energy processed through our own bodies and souls. So this is the final conjunction we will ever have, give or take. That's a little exaggeration. By next month, it'll be in Gemini, but it is going to retrograde back into Taurus, so we'll probably have one more. But it's not going to be the same because it's coming from Gemini. So make it count. This is going to help you understand, since 2018, how exceptionally you've innovated your own values and how that reflects and how strong you stand on those values, even if everyone thinks you're crazy as fuck. Of course, be willing to take accountability for any information you get wrong or things you do wrong, if at least just to help better yourself. But, you know, pat yourself on the back for making it to this space. We're going to now perfect and master everything that you've activated the past 3 months. And this begins with going deep within ourselves, because like 2013, the last time Jupiter was in Cancer, now we're expanding so much more soul, depth, and liquidity. I'm not even gonna say emotion, I'm gonna say liquidity, ching ching, that is going to really have you feel deeper into who you are. It's like you have a fishing bowl, and the conjunction is going to instantly expand that fishing bowl 10 times over. But now you already had a little water in there. You need to fill this big expansion with water. And that's going to be Jupiter transiting up to 24 degrees before it retrogrades in November, where it will fill the water up like 7/8 full. Then it'll retrograde, and then it'll go direct past, then fill it up all the way, and then it goes into Leo. So that fishing bowl is your psychic capability, your receptivity to discern non-linear information or mechanics, foregoing the need for inductive and deductive reasoning, but also being able to use it and express it rationally through that as well. Oh my God. I'm trying to be as nerdy as possible because this is a very important transit. So yeah, you know, if you've seen that amazing movie, that after they went on that car ride, there was a lot more conflicts that came through, which led to, of course, make or break situations, which bring in the climax. All right, so as things begin to develop, remember what you began to work on over the past 3 months. Don't get distracted and make it count, y'all. The moon in Taurus is bringing in amazing rewards through this transit that you worked for, and tying in everything you've activated since the Aries, Taurus, and Gemini new moon. So as it all comes in, know that you're getting ready to use that to keep gaining momentum. Cancer is the chariot, so it's going to push you forward. It's a huge boost with the Sun Jupiter, and use it to keep going forward, not to give an immediate gratification. Peace.